Hello everybody. We've done some thinking about actors involved in the problem we analyze, but we have not thought so much yet about how these actors perceive the problem. That is what we are going to do in this video. We will try to make explicit the ideas and perceptions actors have about the problem in a problem statement. Many parts of the world have to deal with consequences of heavy earthquakes on a frequent basis. But recently also the northern part of the Netherlands has experienced earthquakes more often and severe than ever before. These earthquakes, which are caused by drilling for natural gas, lead to much inconvenience for the inhabitants of the region, but also to physical damage to buildings and other structures. Experts think that negative impacts of this gas drilling will probably be worse in the future. Many inhabitants are worried and want the drilling for gas in Groningen to stop. However, like 97% of the inhabitants of the Netherlands, also these people are dependent on this gas for cooking and heating. So, gas fulfills an important need of the Dutch citizens. But gas drillings are causing problems at this moment. The question is what the actors involved think of this problem. The Ministry of Economic Affairs is responsible for the Dutch policy on energy. For them, it is important that Dutch citizens are supplied with gas and energy. The gas fields in Groningen play a large role in this supply, and stopping the drilling in Groningen could have large consequences for the quality of the gas delivery and the infrastructure. In addition, every year the gas fields in Groningen provide the Dutch states with lots of euros. Meanwhile, there are also private parties involved in the gas drilling. The drilling in Groningen is executed by NAM, a joint venture between Shell and ExxonMobil. These operators invested in machinery and count on the income from the Groningen gas fields. Stopping the drilling in Groningen would mean a large decrease in revenues for them. And of course, not to mention people losing their jobs. So what's next? It is obvious that there is a problem, but what the exact problem is not yet clear. To come closer to a solution, it is important that the core of the problem is made explicit. We don't know yet what the essence of the problem is. What we do know is that there are many actors involved in this problem. So, in order to find the core of the problem, we will make explicit what each of these actors' ideas and perceptions of the problem are. Usually, actors do not make their problem very explicit. What they do is look for the first thing that looks like a solution, grasp it, and defend it against anyone who attacks it. In other words, people do not tend to think about what the problem is precisely, but they think in terms of solutions. Worse, as everybody has his or her own solution, actors fight each other for which solution is the right one. That does not bring us much further. We can, however, take a next step by making the problems behind all these solutions explicit. We make what is called a problem statement for each actor. With the problem statement, we introduce the heart of the problems to a group of people in one sentence. When we have all problem statements for all actors involved, we usually see there's much overlap. Many actors have defended their solutions against others, while actually they perceive an issue of a shared overall problem. Making the problem explicit is not very easy, and it takes time. With complex problems like the ones we deal with at our faculty of TPM, defining the problem can easily take up 30 to 50% of the total project time. Is that a waste, or is that inefficient? Well, if the problem is not defined in a good way, there's a big chance of finding a solution for the wrong problem, and not finding a solution at all is also a possibility. Now that would be a waste of your time. So let's go back to our example of the gas in Groningen. If we take the perspective of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, it is clear that they are worried about the provision of gas to the Dutch citizens and keeping the Dutch energy sector going. Their initial issue is thus how to keep providing the Dutch citizens with gas. However, this would not be a complete problem statement. The current question can simply be answered by the solution, well, just continue the drilling in Groningen, the way you are doing now. What is the problem? The reason the ministry is experiencing a problem is that the safety of the Dutch inhabitants is at stake due to the increasing amount of earthquakes in Groningen. Therefore, they have to look for a solution that will ensure the safety of the Dutch citizens too. This means a dilemma can be added to the previous problem statement. how to keep providing the Dutch citizens with gas without compromising the safety of citizens in gas drilling areas. Please note that there is not one right problem statement. Initial problem statements are good starting points for discussion with the problem owner. It can make it easier for them to give a short reaction rather than a long story about what they think the problem is. In this case, maybe after some conversations with the ministry, you will find out that they are not necessarily focused on the gas in specific, but on the energy provision to Dutch citizens in general. Then the problem statement can be how to provide the Dutch citizens with energy and heating without compromising the safety of the citizens. This problem statement opens the door to many more solutions than the previous one. Therefore, it is important to decide in collaboration with the problem owner what the desired level of aggregation is. The previous example illustrates that the problem statement depends on the chosen scope. But remember that the problem statement also depends on the chosen actor. In the case of the Groningen gas drilling, the gas producer NAM or the citizens affected by the earthquakes are all important actors who will have different problem statements. This does not necessarily mean that the problem is impossible to solve. In the end, the actors do not have to perceive the same problem to decide upon the implementation of one of the alternatives. So, what is a good problem statement? A good problem statement consists of two parts, a gap and a dilemma. At the basis of the problem statement is the gap between an unwanted situation and a desired situation. However, when trying to get to the desired situation, often an unwanted downside occurs, which the actor does not like. This we call the dilemma. This dilemma is the reason why the desired condition of the system is not easily accomplished. If there would be no dilemma, the problem would not be there anymore, as it would have been solved already a long time ago. A good problem statement therefore opens the heart of the problem. It focuses on tension and reveals where it hurts. The problem statement underlines the complexity of the problem and will therefore never have one right answer or solution. A good problem statement will have room to several solutions. It opens up our mind to consider many alternatives rather than only one. And finally, a good problem statement is short and concrete. It uses clear, objective terms and reveals only the bare essence of the problem. In this stage of the analysis, we should not be distracted by side issues. Please note that the problem statement is different for every actor and can even be dynamic in time. Each actor involved in the problem will have a different view about the desired future situation and the dilemma to reach this future state. When analyzing a problem, it can be very useful to make an overview of all involved actors and to formulate problem statements for every actor, revealing the tensions and dilemmas the different actors face. Examples of problem statements can be found in many situations, both professional as well as in our daily life. We talked to Hans de Bruin, somebody with a lot of project knowledge and project experience. I asked him his reaction to a problem statement that by far is not in line with what we have just said. How can we reduce CO2 emissions while introducing electric cars?
Well, I think this problem statement is incorrect, and the first reason is that the problem statement already has the solution in it, and that's always wrong, because you're blocking possible other solutions to solving the problem. The second point has something to do with the system boundaries, the unit of analysis. So in this question, the unit of analysis is the electric car. And I think that you can indeed say that the electric car is the environmentally friendly alternative to the traditional car. But we can define our system boundaries differently. We can broaden the unit of analysis. Now, suppose the unit of analysis is the electricity system as a whole. And suppose we learn that the electricity comes from coal-fired power plants. If that is the case, I think many people will say the electric car is not the alternative, the environmentally friendly alternative to the traditional car because of the coal-fired power plants. Another question is this an environmental issue or are there any other issues at stake? So suppose we learn that this electricity comes from a nuclear power plant, then some people will probably raise the safety issue. Nuclear power is not safe. And then there is a third point, a normative point. People who say that nuclear power is not safe and that we shouldn't use nuclear power are basing their stance on the same opinion, on the same information as people saying that nuclear power plants are safe. So there is also a normative issue here. How do we value information? And different people with different political opinions will value the same information in a different way.
Let's give you another example of the usage of problem statements. Take a look at this EPA student, who has difficulties with making the right choices regarding his activities.
I recently started studying in Delft and do many activities outside the curriculum. I believe these are good for your personal growth, but recently I received a letter from the study counselor stating that if I don't have enough ECTS, I have to leave the faculty, and that's not what I want. I really like studying here and find the courses I'm taking very interesting. Sometimes I don't have enough time to prepare for an exam, resulting in failing a test. But I don't want to quit my other activities. I'm faced with a dilemma. How can I keep on getting good study results while maintaining my extracurricular activities? Maybe I should just stop sleeping. Now let's go to your own case. Before you start working on the next assignment, please read the book up to section 2.2. After that, you should be able to address the following questions. What would be a good problem statement for a few public actors in the case you've chosen? And what would be a good problem statement for a few private actors in the case you've chosen? And last but not least, what would be a good problem statement for your clients? Now let's move on to the traps when formulating a problem statement. These are not having a dilemma and putting a solution in the problem statement. It is important that a problem definition contains a dilemma. The statement, "How can we construct a highway?" does not contain a dilemma. You can just pick up the phone and call a contractor. This is not the problem. What makes it complicated? It is expensive, may cause hindrance, etc. And why a highway? Are there no alternatives available for transportation? Stating a solution in the problem definition delimits the solution space for the issue as the focus already lies on the single solution.